Get you throwaways ready. What is the grossest, most regrettable thing you have done? Sully, NSFW. Okay. More traumatizing than anything, but hey. Being given a blowjob in the back room of a club, pretty out of character for me. Girl wants to have sex. And I was a virgin. So who am I to disagree? She gets up, goes to get a condom, and is skipping merrily back to my semi-naked body when she trips, hits her head on a table, and passes out. I kinda didn't know what to do. I was underage in a club. Had an unconscious girl and a rapidly growing pool of blood next to me. Turns out blood flow to the scalp is pretty ferocious. And to top it all off, a nice stiffy. 3 hours and an ambulance ride later. She's getting the last of 12 stitches in her head and kissing me on the cheek as thanks for getting her to a hospital. And that's how I almost lost my virginity. This thread is the only context where this story is adorable. Not gross, but regrettable. So I can set the scene. Pool in my backyard. Driveway separated by gate about 15 feet away. At 17 years old, then GF and I decided to fool around in my pool. Parents not at home. Things keep going and eventually we start F-king. Just lowered my trunks. Moved her bottom piece to the side. Boom. Mum sneak attacks. Coming through the driveway gate to say hello, noticing we were both in the pool. She was vaguely aware we were dating. So she didn't pay any care to the fact my GF was sitting on me. Didn't have time to pull out maneuver my dick away. So I just pulled her closer and made it look like she was floating on my lap. Forced to carry a conversation about the day's otherwise mundane events with my mother while still inside my GF. Didn't finish and didn't want to talk to either of them for the rest of the day. TL. DR. Looked my mother in the eye and had a conversation with her while penetrating my then GF in a swimming pool. She knew. She knows. She knew. Accidental poop finger. What's the protocol on that? Do you tell her? I just stopped fingering her ass. Simba. Had sex with my girlfriend while she had a yeast infection. Here's the best part. I didn't know she had one. So before I finished the deal I ate her out like no one had ever eaten a girl out before. She loved it. Then I had sex with her. 2 days later I had a bunch of little white lumps on my tongue. My throat was so sore I couldn't talk. My dick was sore and on fire. Had a male yeast infection in both my mouth and on my dick. I got a yeast infection from my female ex. Because neither of us knew that guys can contract them. It's just really rare apparently. Best part was my doctor. Who was female. Doc. It would be an exceptional case for a man to contract a yeast infection from a sexual partner. Inspects my gentleman sausage doc. Well. I guess you're exceptional. This needs its own subreddit. I thought we could call it our egrets, but then people who wanted to look at birds would have a sad. It's been a while, I guess I can share. Was around 18. First GF. Experimenting with different things. So we were doing the deed and I had my middle finger in her ass. Yeah, I know. Was all cool and exciting. Until her little brother ran in screaming, "You are F-king, aren't you?" GF jumped like a scared cat. Yay, broke my finger. TL. DR. Broke my middle finger in GF's ass. PS posted this on another post before. Still applies here. Not a throwaway. It's a rather amusing story cause I still flip crooked FCKS. No throwaway. Blah. Short version. Used to have huge curly hair. Like Claudio from Coheed or Blake from Workaholics. Went to a party. Got F-king hammered along with everyone else. Started hooking up and moved to a bedroom. Thought I'd go down on her to impress. Ended up puking on her downtown area. She sat up and puked directly into my hair. We were so grossed out that we both kept puking. I remember puking into my cupped hands. Trying to prevent it from getting everywhere. And trying to throw it out the window. Only to realize there was a screen on the window. It was an absolute F-king disaster. This is disgusting and hilarious at the same time. Reminds me of that Family Guy episode where they all drink Ipecac. Edit. Holy FCK. Didn't think this would get so many upvotes. Thanks guys, you're making me blush. Oh. I don't feel so go blah. Blah. She was wild and up for anything. She liked anal. Fumbled for lube and picked up a tube of icy hot, but I noticed and laughed. Q. Good thing I didn't just use this. Right? She gets a crazy look in her eye. And says. Why not? Let me tell you why not. The burning. The burning. For me. It was like I'd stuck my dick in a nest of fire ants. Fire ants that were still upset about Gorbush in 2000. And were ready for revenge. But I jumped in the shower and washed it off. And within an hour so. It was just a distant rumor of heat. Like a cat napping in a sunbeam. But for her? She was in so much pain. She writhed howling on the bathroom floor for a solid hour. And then just became catatonic for the rest of the night. It was probably hotter than the first bite of microwave chicken pot pie. In her butt. Bad idea. Do not do. My girlfriend and I met while we were tree planting. Which, as you can imagine, is a fairly dirty profession. A bunch of people decided to start a no showering contest to see who could go the longest without showering. Now a tree planting season is typically 2 months. So this contest was pretty real. Anyway. This cute girl decided to do it. So I decided to do it too. That girl and I ended up F-king every night for 2 months. Without ever having showered even after working 12 hours days in the dirt. You know what? FCK this thread. That was some of the best sex I've ever had. We were like filthy love animals. Taking pleasure in each other's natural scents. I bet my cock tasted awful though. Edit. I almost F-king forgot the best part of this story. Before she met me, she had only been with women. We've been dating for 3 years now. I guess my smelly cock won her over. I had sex with my ex-GF while we were in the same bed as her brother. Looking back. WTF was I thinking? Full story. So my ex, we will call her Stacy, and her brother, Angelo, were going to a friend's house to keep her company because she was house sitting. So I go alone. It's all pretty boring. Just drinking, chatting and watching Charmed. So it gets late and we are ready for bed. The friend only had one spare double bed. So we all crashed in that. Thanks to the booze I was feeling quite randy. So while I was spooning her I slipped it in. It wasn't your usual SI times. Very slow and tame so we won't wake her brother. As far as I know he knows nothing about it. Edit also just remembered that her brother also walked in on me busting a nut on her face. Poor guy. I like how you created fake names for these people and never used them during the story. I was sitting in a guy's lap once when he was fingering me from behind. I have this fetish where I like to keep a full bladder. It makes things feel better. Probably related to the pressure on my G-spot. Anyway. I wound up peeing on him. We broke up that night. Edit. He and I were no more than FCK buddies. For about a week. I don't even remember having feelings for him. And he felt the same. So. Don't worry everyone. Everybody's okay and I didn't even shed a tear. Edit 2. Hey. So my name is Autumn. If that clears things up. Hahaha. No. I'm not Emily. Or Steph. Or in Illinois. Broke up for that? Weak sauce. My girlfriend's peed on me and herself a few times. We're not into that stuff and she was always super embarrassed but it happens. If anything. I see it as a badge of honor that I can get her going so much that she can't control herself. This thread makes me feel better about every decision I've ever made in my life. I used a toy lightsaber as a DLDO on my girlfriend once. I have no idea why how it happened. I was just playing with it in her room while she was lying on the bed naked. Next thing I know, I'm holding a 3-foot long lightsaber with buzzing sound effects while my GF is moaning away. I felt so Jedi. Girlfriend sucked a kidney stone out of my death stick. Pain level. How fking boring is my life? I guess I have to put this here. I was with a girl who was just a friend with benefits. To help me get over an ex that I still loved and wanted to be with. Once my ex and I decided, over long talks, to get back together. I obviously said to the other one that it was over. So one day, I met my ex after work. We had serious talks about us. Then went and had wild sex in her place. Was great except she was on her period. It was messy. But we didn't care. However, my dick was plastered with it. I then went home and got properly drunk. Passed out on my bed. Little did I know, the friend with benefits still had a key to my apartment. Next morning, she's next to me. I don't remember anything. But she tells me that she passed by to give me a goodbye BJ. While I was passed out on my bed. With my GF's menstrual blood all over me. It was dark. She never knew. The grave and, apparently, the internet. And another time, I had just finished a big juicy inside my then girlfriend. And she stands up. Stark naked next to the bed. Then she sneezed really hard. We had hardwood floors and this is important because of the loud splat sound cum makes when it shoots out of a woman's vagina and splats against the floor. Nice try. Writer of American Pie 12. Was fking this girl when she asked me to insert this penis shaped object with a little ring attached to it in her arsehole while I was fking her doggy style. I obliged and just thought to myself, as long as I don't let go of this ring it will be okay. Well, somehow I'll let go of the ring. Exclaimed Oshti. She asked what was wrong. I told her to calm down and the situation would be fixed in a second. Dove for that bad boy with 3 fingers and somehow was able to pull it out. Shut the FCK up, babe. Why is everything about poop, goddammit? Is it just me or do most of these stories have UT written all over them? I was going to town on a chick's bunghole with my tongue and a little bit of poop came out. I didn't want to make her feel self-conscious so I just kept chowing down. Unfortunately that was only the preview. And the main attraction was a pretty big log that came out with no warning. How does someone poop in that situation? I mean, it's not like poop just normally comes out of your butthole without some warning. Maybe she gave off a warning shot and you kept going. So then she thought it would be okay to shitty in your face. I didn't want to make her feel self-conscious so I just kept chowing down. And number 3232. Number 3232. She did that on purpose. I'm not sure if I should be proud or completely disgusted that I was able to eat while reading this thread. Edit. There is a serious amount of demand for shitty watercolor in this thread. My ex-girlfriend was usually up for anything, as am I. Once, I was able to forcefully insert grapes into her anus. The intention was that she would poop them into my mouth. Not a bad experience really. I'm assuming others will find this gross. TLDR, girlfriend shitty grapes into my mouth. Directly from her asshole. For once I'm glad I have nothing to add to a thread. One time I got stoned and was really horny. I started fapping and started trying some fingers up my ass and it felt great. Then I remembered that I had found a DLDO in my mum's sock drawer once. So I got it, smelled it, cleaned it off, and proceeded to push it into my anus as I masturbated. Then I rinsed it off with some water and put it back and watched TV. TL. I just want to know how this account name wasn't taken before now. You smelled your mom's DLDO? My ex and I were just extremely wasted doing whatever kinky shit we could think of. And I got the brilliant idea to fill her vagina up with vodka and drink it. Well, she enjoyed the feel for like 1 second and then started to scream and ran to the bathroom and tried to stick the shower head inside herself with the water on full blast. Apparently after a night of drunkenness or adventures 80 proof booze is not a good thing to be putting in the vagina. That's one of those things that in hindsight you're like, yeah, that's an awful idea. But at the time you like I fkin love vodka. I love PSSY. Put them together. Ever since I was a teenager, I've been giving pretty regular hand jobs to myself. Not going to bother with a throwaway account. I am too lazy. My worst case Azul adventure. Going down on a hooker at Black Angus in San Juan, Puerto Rico while I was in the Navy. Thankful to this day that no STDs were received. I might have made a little me that day. Am I alone in refusing sex if the girl is unhygienic? If she can't take care of her PSSY, what makes you think she takes care of her Azul history? Dated a fat chick in high school because I was desperate. I ate her out. She had very poor hygiene. And I gagged. It almost put me off going down on girls forever. Jolly Rancher? Till you guys are fking disgusting. So, against my better judgment, I had sex a third time. A close friend and her boy toy was hung like a goddamn horse. Anyway. Good times were had, but it ended in a fight. BC, all three of us are emotional wrecks. Anyway. He left and my friend and I continued the fight. At one point she and I started having sex and I was on top of her and fking her. I'm female. She started choking the shit out of me as hard as she could over and over while she and I were fking, and at one point I started to see stars and think I was beginning to pass out, but we kept fking. Then she stuck her fingers down my throat and I started puking all over her, and she kept doing it, so I kept puking and we kept fking and rolling around with puke all over each other. I eventually left and shit's been a little weird between us since. Edit. Sigh. I just can't help myself and divulge a few more tidbits since folks are getting such a huge kick out of this. We're both smoking hot, no joke. I'm white. She's black. Slow clap. Masturbated softly with my own tears as I sniffed my grandma's undies. I see. Consensual sex in the missionary position for the purposes of procreation. I've learned that if you see NSFW on RS credit, prepare for poop stories. This thread is not the easiest thread to read while masturbating. Being a virgin suddenly seems like the best decision of my life. I'm Greek and a disgusting pervert, so my exploits have never stopped. My ex used to make me come in her ass and she finger it out, eat it and then make out with me. Several of my exes have pegged me, don't knock it till you try it. And then I ordered a Shemel escort for a good time. I would do that again. And this is why antibiotics barely work anymore. What I've taken from this thread. Never ever do an L ever. Ever. Anal. No. Anal sex without preparation, on her part. That was quite messy. One-legged burn victim. Seriously. She had chem burns from an exploding meth lab. She had a stump for a right leg and a patch of hair on her back from a skin graft. We were smoking meth and fking for 2 days straight. I have no idea what happened to her. I left her stranded at a hotel in a strange town. Truly timeless tale of love. I have nothing to contribute except that reading this thread has done wonders for my self-esteem. I feel so fking normal. And I'm perfectly alright with that. I once masturbated in the loft of a barn while watching a horse give birth. When I was in high school I partied way too hard and fked way too much. I, 18, was at a random end of the year party and was hooking up with this hot guy, also 18. I'd seen around school a few times. He were going at it in his bedroom while the party raged on downstairs. All of a sudden the door bursts open and the dude's little brother, 16, walks in and wants to know what is going on. Suffice to say we were both already shitty-faced and he invited his brother to double team me with him. They ended up spit roasting me. Not my proudest moment. Actually. My least proud moment. TL. Doctor got double teamed by a guy and his little brother. Once. In the throes of passion. I started aggressively fingering my girlfriend's ass. She was into it. When I pulled my finger out. There was a bit of shitty on it. I quickly wiped it on the sheet. But when I looked at it again, there was still a poop flake clinging to my fingertip. I sucked it off and kept on effing. I should mention that there was alcohol involved. My girlfriend and I are going at it. We do anal. It is good. I come. I pull out and decide I need to wipe my cock off. I go to the bathroom, get a washcloth, and wipe the santorum off my cock. I walk back into the bedroom and ask her, do you want a washcloth? I figured she needed to wipe down too. She smiles at me. That sounds nice, she says. I hand her the wet kinda gross washcloth. I have no time to react. She gladly grabs the wet washcloth and then wipes her face with it. I stand aghast. She smiles and hands it back to me and says in a perky voice, thank you. To this day I haven't told her. We have been together for a year now. Let a drunk tranny barebag me. Urethra sounding. Jaya. You deserve a medal. Had a doctor shove a long Q-tip thing up there and I almost passed out. I guess I'll add to the circular jerk of shame. My grade 11 physics teacher was hot and slightly awkward and she never yelled at us, which pissed me off for some reason. So one day I stayed after school for whatever reason, play rehearsal or something, and I went upstairs to my locker area and physics classroom since I wasn't needed for a while. I then proceeded to masturbate in my physics classroom to my teacher's school ID card. I only took a few minutes to finish. I was so excited I took some of the cum and rubbed it on the top of her lip balm which she left at school. The next day I watched her put some on and I got a raging stiffy. Done some other bad stuff, but that one stands out. PL. Doctor, I made my high school teacher rub my cum on her lips without her knowing. Edit. Made a TLDR because I want people to read it so I can get calmer. FCKU. At least I'm honest.